Yo. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Standard 81 podcast. My name is Sincere, and we are back again with another video. Yes, we survived the hurricane here in Florida. That is where I'm at, and I am glad to be back with you guys once again, posting videos. But before we get started into any more, let's go ahead and take a quick 30-second break, and I'll be back with you here in 3, 2, and 1. And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. We are back to talk about an interesting topic. Yes, I am back to talking a bit about relationships. I know I was going on in my Christianity and sharing about my faith, which I will continue to do because I am a Christian. But I want to talk about relationships because I am in a new phase, and I want to share with you some of the things that I've been experiencing outside of the things that I research and I typically tend to talk about. But before I get started into all that, go ahead and hit that like button as you come in. And hey, if you dislike what I'm talking about, go ahead and hit that dislike. Either way it goes, it's all engagement, so I appreciate it either way. And if you do like what I'm doing and you want to hear more and you want to see more, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so this way you can be notified whenever I'm posting or whenever I'm putting up a new video. Sorry, I don't have any creative editing or anything like that, but I typically just tend to get on here, give you guys the facts the way that I see it, and then I get off. So if you're looking for something genuinely elaborate or a bunch of editing tricks, that's probably not me right now. I may get into it later, but I work a lot. Anyways, comment down below and let me know what you think about the comment, as well as share this with somebody that you think needs to hear it. Without any further ado, let's get started. The truth about relationships. Now, here's the truth from my perspective. And I'm not talking about biblical truth because there is only one truth, but I am talking about the truth in what we idealize versus what is, right? Now, if you've seen the thumbnail, you've seen a happy couple in a relationship, right? And I'm not here to tell you that being a happy couple is something that you shouldn't want to be, especially in the Black community. But the reality is of this whole thing is there are going to be a lot of things that you have to face, not only as a couple, but as an individual as you begin to develop your relationship. And things that you may have not even thought about are going to begin to manifest themselves. And depending on how you deal with them is going to determine the outcome of that relationship. Now, let me say this as a caveat. There is no way to predetermine the outcome of what's going to happen in a relationship. The only thing that you can do is get into the relationship and continue to step forward. And that can be a scary thought for most of us, especially in today's society, where we like to make plans and investments towards our future. And I have also said in prior videos, and I still stand to it to today, one of the biggest things that you can do, one of the biggest things you need to think about in your lifetime is who you are going to date and who you are going to marry, right? because that one thing in and of itself can make or break what's going to happen throughout the course of your life. You could be headed down a total one track, and because you get married or because you start dating somebody, you could be headed down a totally different track that you didn't even anticipate because you didn't pick the right person. And I'm not trying to scare you off, but I am trying to make this thing a reality, and I'm trying to make it make sense for those of you that would dare to tune in. Now, here's the thing. You got to ask yourself, what is the intention in which you are getting into a relationship, right? What is the intentions in which you're getting into a relationship? Because if your only intent is just companionship and finding, or just finding somebody to sleep around with, or whatever the case may be, I would say you don't need to think about much. You don't even need to be concerned about what the other person is doing, who they got around them, or what it is they got going on. But if your intention is to find somebody to build a life with or get married to, then that's where you're going to begin to worry about not only their past, but you're going to see what's happening in the present and see what they're talking about, what they want to do in their future. And I'm not talking about this from a standpoint of guys and girls. This is universal. And once again, I'm talking about heterosexual relationships. But if you guys in the other community feels like this can apply to you, then go ahead, let it be. Because once you start down this road, down this incredible journey, which it is incredible, you're going to begin to discover things that you may have not thought about. Now, mind you, let me go over the precepts before you get into a relationship, right? You should have a set standard. When I say a set standard, I mean, what are your non-negotiables? What are the things that you value the most? And I'm not here to tell you what those things are. But by far, depending on what kind of relationship you want, is going to determine what your standards are. If you are just looking for something casual, or you're just looking for temporary companionship, or looking for somebody to hang out with, then maybe your standards are going to be more on the physical level and more about sorry guys, I'm losing my train of thought. More about connection than it is going to be about then it's going to be about value and character and things of that nature. That's going to be more in the avenue of marriage and looking to build lives together. Now, having said that, I'm going to focus in on building lives together in marriage. Right? Now, I know what you're going to ask. Sincere, is there a point where your preferences should play a role in you finding a spouse? Absolutely, 100%. Because the truth of the reality is, whoever it is you pick, you got to live with. Let me say that one more time. The truth of reality is, whoever you pick, you gotta be with. That's who you're going to be with. See, in the process of finding somebody to build with and marry, you should be thinking not only about character and core values that come together in life, you also got to think, how is the connection between me and this person? Now, does this mean they have to be a registered 8, 9, or 10 on the scale of attractiveness for you to be with them? No. But it does mean you have to be able to tolerate how they look and the thing and the way they do things before you get into that situation. Because the out shouldn't be that because you picked the wrong person, now all of a sudden you want a divorce. Or because you pick the you pick based only on your preferences, you want a divorce. And I can flip flop the two. You can't say, uh, I picked somebody with lack of characteristics, lack of core value, lack of genuineness, and now I want a divorce. No, you made that decision. And then on the flip side, you can't say I picked the most hot woman, I picked the baddie, or the girls like I picked the most handsome man I could probably, but they lack character and core values and all this other stuff, and now I want a divorce. No, you picked them. You picked them. That's who you picked. We need to stop making divorce the scapegoat for that all the time. Now, mind you, here's the caveat to that. It takes two people to work inside of a relationship, but if you're a Bible believing Christian, you know that exhibiting good character can help swing your partner into the direction that you want them to swing into. Now, mind you, if they're not trying at all to make the relationship come together, or make the relationship work, that's a totally different thing. But that is the exception to the rule. Most of us, as soon as we get unhappy, we want to pull a TM out. And we ready to jump out of it and explore our happiness, not realizing that we made a conscious decision, whether we were fully informed or not. We made a conscious decision with another person and made a pledge and a vow under God to be with that person long term or until you die. Ain't no such thing as graduating, right? So that's step one. What is step two? Step two is getting to know each other. And getting to know each other is not just a bunch of random dates. It is talking, conversating on a consistent basis about things that matter. And then things that you both are interested in. That's step two. And that should be happening all the way through the process. All the way through the process. It shouldn't just be a few conversations here or there, and then all of a sudden you know what it is. Because times change and people change, circumstances change. And what a person may be feeling like, or what a person may like at one point, may not be what they like in the present. Right? That's step two. Step three. Now you got, when you start feeling vulnerable, when you start feeling like things are getting overwhelming, and this is to my experience, is the time you've got to make your decision. Because the honeymoon phase is great. Honeymoon phase is great, right? Y'all both like each other. Y'all both think each other are great. You can do no wrong. Blah 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 blah. So on and so on, right? But that phase eventually goes away, and it's going to give way to actually care, actually caring, and genuinely falling in love with a person. And that's when all the insecurities and all the past issues and all that other stuff is going to begin to rise to the surface, and you're going to start you're going to find yourself looking at everything from the perspective of the past. You say, how do you know? Because I'm experiencing it currently. But that is not the time to run away. If the person that you're with hasn't given you any indication that they're doing anything different than what you already know them to do, don't go looking for problems. It's time for you to conquer your fears, because so many of us, just because we get in our time of singleness, right? And God, or in therapy, and if you believe in Jesus, we've had that time of getting our hearts mended. But now it's time to put all that to the test and see if we really learned what it means not only to depend on God, but use our discernment. Here's a word that you hear a lot all of a sudden. Use our discernment and see if we can really hunker in, not only in on the relationships, but the things that may be holding us back. And taking that back and then re-examining it, and then coming back to the person that we're interested in, if it needs to be talked about, and talking to them about it, or dealing with that on our own accord. Because I'm here to tell you this: it is not the job of the person that you are seeing to determine what's happening in your own brain. No, it's not. Now, should you stop looking at signs and indications of things that may go awry? No, you shouldn't. But I am telling you this: if you're always looking for signs and signals for things to go awry, you'll find it. You'll find it. You'll definitely find it. Because after a while, you will begin to believe the reality of your own mind. And you can't build trust that way. You can't build anything that way. That's the truth. The more you start to care, the more scary it gets. The more you begin to really realize you want to be with a person, the more likely it is you're going to want to turn tail and run. Because it's uncomfortable being vulnerable. Most of us want to tell people what we want them to know and what we want them to hear. We don't really want to show anybody, for the most part, the sides of us that we don't like, or the sides of us that we're not very secure with, let alone have to discuss it. That's a scary thought. But I'm here to tell you, at some point, if you are talking about building a life with somebody and being married, you're going to have to face that reality. Here's something you ought to know: if every time you get into that same scenario with a new person, is it always the person's fault, or is it your fault? When does it become your fault, or something that you have to confront on your own? Because everybody you encounter can't be their fault. The only common factor in every single scenario that falters or falls apart is you. Now, it could be that you're picking um, poorly, you're picking the wrong people to engage with. It could be that you're in too much of a rush to open up. It could be that you're moving the process entirely too slow. I don't know. But I will tell you this, it's on you to figure it out. And whatever it is you are facing or you are looking at, that's on you. So far I've given you three things that I've seen as a reality, as I am facing this thing. Let me give you a fourth one, and I'm gonna give you one more after this, and then I'm gonna get up out of here. Uh, Four, you got to determine what your future is gonna look like. After you begin to face your fears and you start figuring out what it is you're going to do, you need to figure out how you're going to move forward. And that doesn't mean your 5 year goal, your 10 years, none of that stuff yet. No, you need to figure out one day at a time how you're going to move forward based upon your knowledge now. Because if you try to look too far into the future, you may sabotage everything. You may sabotage everything because now you're moving way too quickly. But you need to figure out what it is you want to do moving forward. Do you want to continue down this track and see what happens? Or do you want to disengage? And either way it goes, you can't be fearful of what's going to happen once you make a choice. But just know this, that either way it goes, it's going to come with a consequence. It's going to come with a reality that you're going to have to accept. It's not going to be the easiest thing to do either way you put it. So if you decide to move forward, you're going to have to continue to face those insecurities and all those thoughts and all that other stuff, and not push them on the other person, but deal with it in with that person and in a way that is applicable to the both of you. And if you decide to step away from that person, you got to know that when you get into the next situation, when you find the next person, you're going to have to deal with this again. So the best thing you can do if you decide to step away is to deal with that reality that you now know on your own in a very real way. Not just isolating yourself or saying, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that. No, go to God, pray, get some therapy, start reading your words, start figuring out how it is you can fix this situation for yourself so that the next time somebody comes along or you meet somebody, you are ready. Give you let me throw a familiar scripture out there that I hear a lot of people quote in these relationship space, and I'm gonna put this all together for you before I go into the fifth point. He who finds a wife finds a good thing, right? That's in Proverbs. Yeah. Okay, cool. But here's the thing. We're not looking at this in context. Young ladies, you need to be a wife before in order to be found. It did say he who finds a girlfriend, he who finds a young woman, he who finds a lady, he who finds somebody he's attracted to, he who finds a wife finds a good thing. You already need to have the mindset going in, especially in today's day and age where things are already complicated enough as it is. I mean, back in the day, you may have been able to just, you know, kind of play things out, but nowadays it's just definitely more advantageous to figure out whether or not you want to be married, or you want to build with somebody before getting into it, versus just kind of playing it by ear or feeling things out. I think that's the road to disaster. And then for the gentleman, you need to be ready for the responsibilities of being a husband. The he in there, in my interpretation, needs to be somebody that is prepared to take on the responsibilities of being a husband. Here's the funny thing about it. In traditional weddings, if the young woman has a father, the father walks the bride down the aisle. And then the father then hands the bride over to the groom. What what does that symbolize? Well, it symbolizes this. The father is now saying to that gentleman that's standing there, you are now taking over the responsibilities that I once held. She is now your responsibility. It's on you to do what either I can do or better. I'm not expecting this from Jump Street, but I am expecting over the course of time that you are going to be able to keep your end of the bargain. So I am now alleviating myself of this responsibility and handing it over to you. That's why there should be parents involved. That's why there should be people who are married involved in the process of you talking to somebody, especially if you decide I want to go through with this person. Cool. After you've had so many dates and after you've talked so much, it's time to talk to parents. It's time to talk to counsel. It's time to talk to people, because now it's serious. And you could be wearing rose colored glasses and missing all the potential signs that could lead you away from danger, or at least give you a leg up in how to deal with your potential relationship and going into marriage. I'm not saying that dealing with people who are married or dealing with your father and your mother and elders and all that good stuff is going to lead to a breakup, but it can give you a leg up on how to deal with these things. People that know. We get knowledge from people that know things. Sounds pretty simple to me. Sounds basic. One, two, three. Because while you're sitting there imagining what your life is going to be like together, and everything is wonderful and good and all that good stuff, they can hip you to the realities of what may really happen. And typically speaking, what is going to happen. It may not happen verbatim, detail for detail, like they had it, but in some way, somehow, it's going to happen. And you can further make mental adjustments, financial adjustments, and mental adjustments according to what you know. And then once again, figure out, hey, is this worth moving forward with, or do I disengage? Just telling you what I'm experiencing. Last but not least, then I'm going to get up out of here. The fifth point, you got to trust God. Now, for those of you that do not believe in God, you don't believe in Jesus, take all the other 4 points and run with it. But for those of you that believe that there's something beyond yourself, or you are Christians yourself and you believe that God narrates and navigates and he's got our whole life planned out, then this is for you. Trust God. Trust God through the process. We can't worry about what's going to happen tomorrow. It says that in the Bible. You can't worry about tomorrow. We got to worry about today. And that goes for your relationship. God knows better than we do what is great and what is good for our lives. Now, sometimes He will allow us to do what we would like to do. But if you are a Christian like I am, you should want the person who knows everything to have a majority say so over what happens in your life, if not all the say so over what happens in your life. Because He knows better than you do. And continue to put that relationship in prayer. Continue to ask God to show you things. Continue to ask God to highlight. Continue to ask God to protect. Continue to ask God, what is it that I do? Continue to ask God to give you everything that you need, not only to grow, but also to keep you in His plan according to His purposes while you're developing that relationship. Because the biggest relationship that you need to be worried about beyond the one that you are building between you and another human being is the one between you and Him. Because when all the other things are crashing around you and your relationship starts to hit those bumpy trails, He's going to be the one thing that keeps you solid. I just read it this morning, literally in my devotionals. The wise man who built his house on the rock. The storm came, the wind blew, it beat up against that house, but it stood because it was built on a rock. The foolish man built his house upon the stand. The storm came, the wind blew, and beat against that house, and it fell, and mighty was the crash of it. Matthew chapter 7, verses 24 through 29. In other words, I'm saying this. Whether it's good or whether you are wise, smart, whether you have a lot of money or you have little money, life is going to test everything around you, especially when you're in that relationship. It's going to test it. And the one thing that's going to determine whether or not you stand or you fall is going to be, what is your foundation? So to go back to point one, if you are looking to marry and you are looking to build a life with someone, you need to make sure that they are a person of character and have core values that align with yours. And that's all I really want to say. Anyways, guys, thank you for checking out the Standard 81 podcast. I appreciate you all. Go ahead, hit that like button, subscribe, comment down below, type second watch in the comments if you are watching this after the show has went live. I appreciate it so much. Share this with somebody you know needs to see it, as well as check out the Instagram at Sincere the Artist. I'm going to start putting up some more stuff from our youth group. Shout outs to Illuminate over there at RCC 100%. If you are ages 14 through 18, come check us out. As well as check out the Standard 81 podcast over there on TikTok. And I will see you guys on the next one. God bless you all. Have a wonderful day. Peace.